Hi, this is Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban for the Game Boy Advance. Turn-based RPG version of the story, a little different than you might be used to. The any percent category is what we're going to be running, though it is a glitchless category. We don't utilize any glitches in the run, just getting from point A to point B as fast as we can. So let's just go ahead and dive in here. 3, 2, 1, go. Alright, so beginning parts of this game is just all kind of tutorial-ish and introducing like the basic story beat. So there isn't too much going on. We won't delve too much into the story, as I assume a lot of people know about the story of the game. But we're gonna have our first tutorial fight right away against the Monster Book of Monsters, which is a textbook that attacks you and eats you. And it's gonna pop up a lot in the run. So we fight a lot of books in this run, weirdly. Harry comes off very anti-reading. But we can actually lose a few seconds at the beginning here. It's RNG as to which of me or the book gets to go first. So since we got to go first, we got to avoid losing those few seconds. And we just take it down as fast as we can. It's not a dangerous fight whatsoever. Skip through these little cutscenes here. Now that we wake up, we're gonna grab this card. Cards are going to be used for card combos, which will be important mainly for later parts of the run, so we'll dive into it in a little bit, but you're going to see me in the first sections of this run pick up quite a few cards that we're going to use later on. But you know, just some more exposition. Our first main quest is we're going to be collecting rat tonic for scabbers, just to make scabbers feel better, I guess. But we're gonna head down into the basement of the leaky cauldron here and go find said rat tonic. One cool mechanic that comes up in this game that is different than the other games I run, which are also Harry Potter RPGs, is that we can use spells in the overworld to solve puzzles. So there's quite a few more like puzzle type things in this game. So we get to use spells in the overworld there. First one I used there was Lumos, which helps reveal like hidden bridges and like guides us through dark passages and stuff like that. You saw me pause and unpause there because it will stop the animation of Fumos, since we need to cast a spell pretty quickly after. So we just cancel that animation a little bit. And these blue clouds that you're seeing floating around, these are all encounters. So luckily they're big and slow in this version, but because they are big, they can be kind of hard to avoid. So we're going to try our best to avoid as many unwanted encounters as possible, but we are inevitably probably going to hit a few that we don't want. But so far so good. We're just picking up a few of these cards. Now this is a section we could use Lumos on, but I don't need to. I'm just hearing for an audio cue there where you hear a door open and then I know that I need to move forward. Speak of the devil, here we are, an encounter that we wanted to avoid, but luckily we were able to run from that. We're actually going to save here just in case, because this rat fight can be a little bit tricky. Alright. So, spoiler alert, it's a giant rat that we're going to fight. Pretty standard for Harry Potter stuff, and we really want to see that we get to go first here, so the fact that we are going second is unfortunate, because similar to the monster book means that the rat gets another turn, and the rat can take us out in 2 turns depending on how high he rolls damage wise. Right now we have to get a miss, or else we're gonna have to die and reset, which this is the one of the heaviest reset points of the game, unfortunately, because of this rat fight. But it's pretty standard. So we just do a quick reset. We're gonna try and take this out again, and hopefully this time we will we'll have the turn priority. Let's see here now. Hey, now we got it. Perfect. That sets us up for success a little bit easier. Now it'll only get 2 turns to attack. Obviously, what we'd like to see here is a crit, which in this game, crits just do double the damage that it normally would do. Very basic. those numbers would pop up in red if that were the case, but we haven't gotten any yet. Perfect. So that's what the fight looks like when you get it the first try. So pretty good. Only having to reset once is not too bad at all. But that we're finished with that. We're finished with our quest. You're gonna see a lot of these blocks here with that symbol on top, which is the flipendo symbol. Pretty also standard for other Harry Potter games, honestly. That symbol's pretty common. So we just use it to push the block, and then voila, we're done with that. All right, so we're gonna head down here, talk to Ron, get the rat tonic to him. But we're not done in the leaky cauldron, unfortunately, because we're gonna have another quest here. So yeah, classic cat and mouse chase. Love to see it. But this is the first instance in the game where we don't get to have all three of the partners here. We have to choose who we want, and we're gonna choose Hermione as our partner here for this little quest because it's faster. Her path is just a little bit faster than Ron's, so that's why we choose her. But again, we head down into the basement here. Alright, so we're going to use Lumos across this bridge again, and we're going to do a little dialogue skip sequence by just casting Reparo before cutscene trigger, because it just skips the dialogue where Hermione says, "Hey, I can repair this bridge." We just repair it before she says it. We're going to use Lumos again here. Ron's going to hit us with that solid assist. And you'll notice that obviously, you could probably tell by now that Harry, Ron, and Hermione, while they all have Flipendo as an overworld spell, they each have spells that are unique to them as well. So Hermione has Reparo right now, Ron's would be Alohomora, and Harry's is Lumos. And then we're actually going to pick up some more spells later on. I'm going to pick up this card here, and that ends our sequence in the Leaky Cauldron. Now we're on the Hogwarts Express, on our way to school. So yeah, this is just a little cutscene with some story exposition. Be a great time for some donations. And since we're not actually marathon running, I'll just take personal donations. That's fine. But here we are. Now we get to do some moving here. We're basically getting ready to encounter the Dementors for the first time. Spoiler alert. And cocoon right there. Now it's all frozen and dark and scary. Alright. So we're going to lose Harry for a little bit here. Harry's going to pass out due to the Dementors effect. So we're going to be taking control here. All we need to do is quickly flipendo these doors shut. Luckily in this game we can move at a diagonal, so we can hit this one a little bit easier if it likes to hit. There we go. And then we're going to stand next to this door because this is where we're going to head to next, and the game does keep our position after this little cutscene. All right, and now we get another choice of who to run with here, and we're gonna run with Ron because his little quest here is faster. Basically, we're given two quests. Ron needs to find chocolate for Harry so he can kind of recover. Hermione needs to find the train conductor. Ron's is a bit faster. So again, that's the only distinguishing feature. So you also see that each of the characters, in addition to having their more unique spells, they also have special abilities that are unique to them. You see Ron's showcased here as I just used Wizard Cracker. So Ron's, for lack of a better term, he throws things, I guess is what you would say. Like he throws Wizard Crackers, stink pellets, things like that. Just like things he can throw, like fireworks. I don't know, for lack of a better term. Hermione's, as you'll see later, are lectures that give important buffs, and we use Hermione's buffs at length. And then Harry's is card combos. So we get the chocolate here from the buffet cart, but we're also going to walk over here and grab this pepper up potion, which will be useful later on. All right, we just want to make our way back, not hitting encounters, hopefully. And that's it for that quest. And that's going to end the Hogwarts Express sequence for us. And now we're in the castle. More story exposition, Malfoy being a jerk per usual, but we're gonna quickly grab some cards here as we make our way up to the Gryffindor common room, which is on the top floor. This game is great because it's got the portrait room, so it has shortcuts that lead to all of the floors from this room. So we're gonna be in this room quite a bit because we're gonna be bouncing floor to floor, and it's, as you'll see later, I really hate the stairs in this game, so it is a lot easier to take portraits than the stairs, and it's just faster too. So why wouldn't we take the fastest option? We are trying to go fast after all. So. But we're on the 7th floor here. We are going to grab this anti-paralysis potion, which could be useful for one of our in-game fights. And then voila, Gryffindor common room. So more story exposition before we get to make our way down to our first class. If you're unfamiliar with runs in the Harry Potter nature, they are very class focused as well as story focused. So we get to do a lot of challenges that are structured as classes as part of our curriculum. First class we're going to do is Transfigurations, but we are also going to do Care of Magical Creatures, Potions, Defense Against the Dark Arts, things like that. So the first one we are going to do is Transfiguration though. All right, on our way out here, we are going to grab this card combo as well. We are actually getting ready to use our first card combo, so I'll kind of start going into it. So card combos, as I mentioned, are Harry's unique ability. Card combos are executed through if you have the 3 cards needed for the combo. We basically have every combo that we need for the run by default, so that makes it easy. Card combos all do different things. They can do damage, they can do area of effect damage and affect all enemies. They can heal, they can give you defense, they can heal your magic, they can even grant you extra experience for a fight, things like that. So we collect a lot of cards early on so we can use some of these card combos early on, or just have a backup just in case. So we're actually going to get ready to use our first card combo on a little mini boss fight coming up in this Transfiguration challenge. And this one will be a damage one. And you also get to showcase Hermione's special ability, her lectures as well. But first, McGonagall turning into a cat. Pretty much confirmed furry. And then we're going to be in a little maze here, more or less. It's not really a maze because it's not really hard at all, but for lack of a better term, a maze. All right, so first here, the game wants you to destroy both barrels before casting a spell on the blocks, but you don't actually have to. If you can hit the edge of the blocks there and get it by them pretty easily, and then just walk around the barrels, which is actually a little bit faster. Now we have this puzzle, which is very annoying. Also, a thing you can do is hit 2 boxes at once if you hit right in between them, but encounters can get in the way of that, like this one is. Yeah, let's just do this one while that one's in the way. It becomes very difficult to do these boxes while avoiding these encounters. That's why this puzzle is really exceptionally annoying, because encounters can just get in your way and absorb your Flipendo shot. But luckily we got out of there unscathed encounter-wise, and we're actually going to have our first boss fight here, so I am going to save just to be safe. And our first boss fight is against Crab and Goyle. So first thing we're going to do there is use one of 3 of Hermione's lectures. This one's called Be More Careful, which gives extra defense, and we're going to use that on Hermione here. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to use one of Harry's card combos. We got enough cards for the Bludger's card combo, which is an area effect combo. It just hits both of them, does a solid 20 damage consistently across the board, which for right now is a decent amount of damage. And then next we're going to focus on Goyle here because Goyle does more damage. Miss is unfortunate. We don't like to see that. Alright, yeah, so we're going to continuously use the Incendio spell here on Goyle. This is a spell that does the most damage. And then obviously the idea here is that we're just focusing on each of them. Harry going down there is quite unfortunate. We might have to reset, sadly. I have to make this work. Fortunately, that wasn't enough damage for Goyle. So you'll see, as you'll see here, and a lot in this game, it's all about adapting. So we just have to take the RNG we're given and kind of adapt to it. That's all we can do to manage to get by. Actually, you know what? It's not really possible for here, so I'm gonna go ahead and reset anyway. We could do it, but it's actually gonna take, I think it would take less time if we just reset and hope we get even slightly better RNG. But it's not at the end of the world. It's actually pretty standard. This fight is brutal RNG wise, so. Which is why we save here. Better turn order too, which is good. I like having it so that Harry and Hermione can go first and get everything kind of out of the way. So same deal, we buff up Hermione's defense, hit the 2 of them with the Bludger's card combo, and we'll see what we're given from here. Double attack on Harry. All right, if Harry gets attacked here, we're gonna play a little bit safe and actually heal. Okay, I missed though. But we are gonna heal. Harry can heal himself. Not giving us a lot to work with, unfortunately. And even though we are oh, well, okay, fine. I was gonna start hitting on Crab here first anyway, but since we can just take out Goyle now, we're gonna go ahead and take it out. Plus I accidentally moved over to Goyle just habitually. But now Goyle's gone, so it's gonna make it quite a bit easier for us just to take out Crab, a little bit easier. And now we're just using Vertimillious instead of Incendio, as that's Crab's weakness. Every enemy has their strengths and weaknesses. You can determine what they are for monsters, at least, by casting something called Informus. Kind of like helps you break down what their strengths and weaknesses are. But it doesn't work for bosses like this, for one. And 2, it would be slow to do when they stay consistent anyway. So we know what they we know what they are weakness wise. So there's not a point in us casting it. All right. So we pass. Very good. And we just have one little mini section of a maze here, which is not too difficult. Oops. There we go. And out we go. That's Transfiguration. Nothing too crazy. We're still on our classes though, and the next one is going to be Care for Magical Creatures, which is taught by Hagrid, which is exciting. But this is one of our longer classes. Another kind of maze situation, but it's much longer than this one. But gracefully, and gratefully, I should say, not gracefully. Gratefully, it's much easier. There's not a lot of ability for us to die in these next parts. Part of what makes that difficult is because we're so underleveled. If we had taken the time to grind a little bit more, it would be easier for us to defeat them, but, you know, we'd have to take the time to grind, so it's not worth it. It's a little better just to hope for some good RNG. All right, so what we have to do is we're going to end up fighting 5 different books here, same as the Monster Book of Monsters that we fought at the beginning, but obviously these ones are going to be a lot more beefy. And also worth mentioning, at the start of this, we also have new spells that each of the trio have. So the 3 spells that we just got, Hermione got the Glacia spells, which in the overworld allows us to it allows us to freeze water and things like that, but it's also an attack spell in battle. Hermione got that Glacia spell. Harry got the Defendo spell, which is kind of like a slashing spell. Again, a damaging spell in battle, but also uses it to slash webs outside of battle. And Ron got the Spongify spell, which in battle, it makes it so that the monster's attacks are weaker, but it also has an effect in the outer world where it makes like sponge platforms if you cast it on it, and you can like bounce up to higher areas and things like that. So we were blessed with those by Hagrid for whatever reason. He has the access to them. And now we're just working on taking out these fights. We did get to briefly see Hermione's second ability there as well, which is another lecture, but this one was called Good Study Habits, which affects all 3 of them and actually increases the XP earned in the fight. We're going to use that on the second book as well, but this is the first one. Then we get to see Harry's Defendo in action. And if we do it right, we can actually just hit the outer ones and not have to worry about cutting all of them down. And then now we get to see Ron Spongify in action. Little spring platform, and now we're on book 2. In book 2, we actually take the same exact patterns as we do book 1. Now you'll see in between fights that happen right here that we're leveling up a lot, and every time we level up, we heal our health and magic. So we're just kind of strategically using that, so we don't have to use items to heal health and magic, basically. We're also using Ron's second ability here for a Wizard Cracker on each of these fights. And then we're also using fire and slashing spells on books because that just makes sense. Ooh, a miss is unfortunate there. Doesn't put us in danger, but hey. Makes it a little bit slower, that's all. There we go. So that's 2 books down. Like I think I mentioned, we are going to be fighting 5 books total. The idea is that we need these textbooks for the class. Same thing here as before. We're going to pause out of Lumos so we can cast another spell right away. It's a little bit faster than waiting for Lumos to expire. And unfortunately, I think we're just going to have to hit this encounter because it's directly in our path. As I mentioned, they are slow and big, but sometimes because they are big, we can't get around them. All right, book 3. We're gonna see Hermione's second ability used here, but the lecture we're gonna use is called Proper Wand Technique, which just makes it so whoever she uses the ability on, their spells do extra damage. We're gonna use it on Harry here because Defendo is the more powerful spell. And then we're also gonna use Stink Pellet instead of Wizard Cracker here. Stink Pellet only does minimal damage, but it also makes it so that they are stunned for at least a turn. So, and then otherwise we're just killing as normal, slashing and burning. As you can see, it obviously makes that a little bit faster. It skips the turn for the book so that we can just ignore it completely and then move on. Very quick fight. That's book 3 done. All right, we got to cross some water here. We're on book 4 already. Now we are going to use Proper Wand Technique again, but we're actually going to use it on Hermione this time only because Harry didn't level up last time, so he hasn't healed his health or magic. He has very little magic left. But we're going to try our best not to have to heal him at all, because that's the fastest way to do this. And just have Harry and Hermione and Ron kind of take care of it all. Which is why we buff up Hermione's attack. Make it a little bit easier for us. And we can just use our 0 cost spell on Harry, which still does a little bit of damage, to be fair. Not as much as the other spells, but it still does some, so it's something. One common thing you'll see here too when running this game is that Ron will always be a little bit less leveled than Harry and Hermione, because this is a game that utilizes Harry and Hermione almost exclusively. Especially in the later parts of the game, Ron isn't really involved at all. It's mostly just Harry and Hermione. So that will create challenge for like a couple of the fights in the game, but because Ron isn't used often, it doesn't really matter too much. But you'll see Harry and Hermione will almost always level before Ron. We're gonna grab this Grand Pepper Up Potion, which will be useful later. Hit this box so we can get by and then Spongify up the platform where our last book is going to be. Since Harry leveled up now, we can use the Proper Wand Technique on Harry so he can do his slashing spell, Defendo, a little bit faster and a little bit more damage. We are going to Stink Pellet again, so we can skip a turn. Ooh, so we finally see a crit there, which is nice. That helps. Anytime we see those red numbers, brings joy to the heart, so we get to skip a turn there. And we are actually just quickly going to use a potion here on Harry. Usually we would use that in that battle, but because we crit, we actually saved a turn. Alright. So, to add insult to injury, we have another boss fight on top of having to fight these 5 mini-bosses, which is against the Venomous Tentacula here. But it's going to be the same kind of strategy. Buff Harry's slicing spell, light it on fire as much as we can, move on. Not too hard. The only thing that we're going to be keeping an eye on here is Ron's health, because that will matter later on. It doesn't matter right now, but it will later on. Another miss. We've gotten rather unlucky so far in this run, unfortunately. But yeah, we're just working to take it down as fast as we can here at this point. If Ron's health drops below 74, it just is going to change the strategy on a future boss fight here. That's all that really matters. Alright, so one more slicing spell from Harry. He doesn't have any more MP to do another one, so hopefully we don't get too many misses here. Perfect. There we go. One miss, nothing terrible. Alright. So that's the end of the forest section here. We also have a little mini game that we're gonna get to skip coming up here. We get introduced to Buckbeak, who is going to be a character that is relatively prevalent in the game and relatively prevalent in the story too. There is quite a few of these little mini games in the game in general, which we'll see in a second. Luckily, what they made it do for us in this game, which is great for speedrunners, is that you can just press start and click exit game out of any mini game in the whole run, so we don't have to perform it, which is nice. Previously in the other RPGs, they also had mini games, but you do have to perform them or at least sit through the timer and let the timer expire. But not in this one, luckily. Alright, and then you'll see the start of the mini game here. And we just exit. Easy peasy. Now we're heading on to our next class, which is potions. All this is just slowly walking back into the castle. One thing I do wish they had is some ability to move faster, like on a broom or something, because some of the walking is just brutally slow. But you just have to deal with it. You know, a la like riding a bike in Pokemon or something like that. Something that would just expedite our movement a little bit, even if it was like a spell. But nada. Alright, so in potions here, you're going to see shortly, we're going to get a choice of who to partner with as well. We're not going to run with all three, so Harry and Hermione or Harry and Ron. We're going to choose Harry and Hermione here because it's a bit faster. We could do Harry and Ron. It would be safer to do that, but slower, so we'll just save. We've already had some pretty bad luck as it is, so. Alright, so we defend us some webs, we Lumos here. Basically what we have to do is we have to collect 5 potion ingredients throughout this little maze as well. So we're just gonna quickly grab those as fast as we can. One was in the treasure chest there. It's a bad location for that. Here's the second one. Yeah, sometimes they're kind of unavoidable unless you want to really go out of your way. Bad luck. So you can see sometimes when we go to escape from a fight, it won't allow us to, and that's just purely based on agility. It's one of the stat blocks here. And sometimes when things have a better agility than you just can't do it. So that's just how it be. But we're freezing water, we're freezing fire, we're cutting webs, we're getting by. A little misleading, you can actually just walk right through treasure chests, so. Here's our third piece. And our fourth one is gonna come from this boss fight up here, so we're actually gonna save. Actually, you know what? Let me cast the spell and then save. Just in case. We have to freeze the little water section to get by, but we're gonna save just in case this fight goes awry, because it can. It's one of the last like big points in the run that can really ruin you RNG wise. So, but we are gonna buff Hermione's attack here this time because she has a spell that's good for it. But we do also have access to Petrificus Totalis, which does paralyze. Fortunately, we only got one quick turn of paralyzation, so that's kind of the worst luck you can get. It can paralyze up to 4 turns. We would like to have seen at least 2 because it becomes a little bit more dangerous now for us to stay alive. But we're gonna see what we get, and if we have to reset, then we will reset. That's good. A miss is good. So we're using Glacius because that does a lot of damage, and actually Harry's going to act as medic here for us and heal Hermione's MP so that she can continue to cast Glacius. Glacius, unfortunately, is a high cost spell to use. Double miss, that's really, really good. So we didn't get the multiple paralyzation, but he missed multiple times, so it's just as good as if he did. Plus a crit, so look out, world. Things are looking up. Yeah, that's our first hit from this troll right here, so not too shabby. And let's see, this should do it if it hits. Very good. Yeah, that fight was actually pretty decent. Not too bad. It started off scary. But we got there. Now the fourth out of the fifth ingredients is dropped by that boss, and the fifth one is behind it. So there we go. We got all 5 of our ingredients. All we got to do to get back, we just have to go back the same way we came and hopefully not run into any encounters. So another just wonderful time. Groups of donations, shout outs, talk about the cause. Just dodging encounters. Yeah, unfortunately we hit one though. But that's potions, that's easy. Easy peasy. And we just come in for some more story exposition. And this is going to give us Wingardium Leviosa, which we don't use at all until the final boss of the game. So, but it is a useful spell for that final boss. It does a lot of damage, so it has its uses, but we just don't touch it until the end game. But that's another class down off the old schedule. Now we're going to head over to... We actually do kind of a double dose of defense against the dark arts in these next little segments, but there is some story exposition in between. So the first one is just over here, and it's if you're familiar with the story, the Boggart sequence, and the Boggart sequence in this game is actually one of the mini games, so we just skip right by it. There you go, skip right by it. And then we have some story exposition in the middle, and then we go right back to defense against the dark arts afterwards. So we get a double dose. Yeah, another classic section. We're just going to be heading up to the Gryffindor common room. I have a little chase sequence again, a little cat and mouse action again. Find the portrait action. And then one of my least favorite parts of the run is having to find the portrait, and you'll see why shortly. But first we just head in. But yeah, can't recommend these Harry Potter RPGs enough. I run Harry Potter 1 for the Game Boy Color, Harry Potter 2 for the Game Boy Color in this game, which is for Game Boy Advance. The only RPGs in the Harry Potter, series of games. And that's just because I think it's a really clever way to showcase the story of this game. And I really like the mechanics of using the spells and especially in this one, having the overworld puzzles to solve too. It's really cool. I think it's really clever. I wish they had kept going, at least at a handheld level, with this style of Harry Potter game, because I'd be really interested in playing a whole series like this. But alas, they tend to gravitate more towards the action platformer puzzle solving genre as opposed to the RPG elements. So. But yeah, so we do some cat and mouse action. Now we have to go find the portrait. Luckily, the portrait is in the same spot every time. However, We have to go down the stairs to find it, and as you can tell, it goes from a top-down view here to like this weird isometric thing, which makes walking down these stairs really difficult. Almost every run I do, I screw up one staircase by accident, and then end up walking the wrong way or something. It happens quite often, so we'll see if we get it. We'll see if we get it otherwise here, but it happens more often going back up than it does on the way down. But basically, we talk to the portraits here and get everything squared away and head right back up to where we were. Let's see if I can not make a fool of myself. Almost did, but I caught it. Oh, no, I made a fool of myself. There we go. Went too far out and entered the floor instead, so... I hate these stairs. Why would you make an isometric part of a top-down view game? It just doesn't make sense. Like, in previous versions of the game, each floor just has staircases that you'd have to walk on to them. So if you weren't taking shortcuts, you would just have to walk in between floors, as opposed to having like a grand staircase. That grand staircase drives me nuts. Every time I always screw something up. All right, so onward to our second block here of Defense Against the Dark Arts. I'm not sure if it's meant to be like a separate day or something, but we don't go to sleep or anything, so I assume not. But we can take the portrait back down now, because luckily we don't have to take the stairs. We do have one small segment with stairs, but it's very brief. But otherwise, no more stairs the rest of the run, which is good. And surprise that you're gonna see soon, this one is being taught by Snape, who, I hope you like Shrek, because Snape is definitely Lord Farquaad. You've seen the first Shrek movie? He's Lord Farquaad in this game, looks just like Lord Farquaad. Didn't know I was running Shrek Extra Large. But we get an assignment where we have to do some research on werewolves. Which is all going to take place in a library and in an extended sequence here, which is mainly reliant on Ron's Spongify ability, but also has some other puzzle solving in between. So, and also, doesn't hurt to mention that the library is a 2-floor library, so we have to go on both floors in order to complete this this mission here. Basically what happens is we need a textbook, but all the pages have been ripped apart, so we have to find said pages. And they're all on these upper platforms of the library, so here we go. Not to mention, of course, we have to dodge some encounters along the way, which doesn't seem likely here. Yeah. That was a really unfortunate cluster of encounters there that we had to avoid, and we hit both, so that's good. Trying to see if we could sneak by, but nope. All right, so again, everything comes in 5, so we got to collect 5 pages. There's our first one. Oops. Here's our second one. This is just a card combo that we'll need later on. A card, rather, not a card combo. One of the cards we need for a card combo. Ooh, we landed. Oh, cool. I really thought we were gonna hit that encounter. Always surprising. All right. So we got 2 of the pages here, but that's it for that platform. But we got another platform here. Another puzzle to solve. And another encounter hit. Wonderful. This one's a bit weirder. A little bit more finicky. Yeah, that one's too far over, that's fine. And I hit that one the wrong way too. Whoops. Here we go. If you go too far away, like you try to hit it too far away, the hit just won't register as well. Look kind of weird. Oops. Cast that one diagonally by accident. That's why you'll see me move a lot with the thing. All right. Oops. We got our third page. All right, just wait for this encounter to pass us a little bit. Now we gotta head to the upper floor here to get the other 2 pages. Of course, wonderful positioning as always. Just gonna hit it because it's faster at this point. Go. Another Lumos bridge. Oh, we hit this one too. Wonderful. We're hitting like every possible encounter, unfortunately. Alright, so we're gonna wand technique Harry here. So buff up his attack a little bit. Sorry, my eyes itchy. And then we're gonna use that slicey dicey spell. Monster's gonna get an attack here, but then oops. And Ron's gonna Petrificus him, which will paralyze him for, like as before, 1 to 4 turns. The longer the better. And as usual, we're gonna light a book on fire and slice it and dice it. Ron is now gonna use his Spongify spell on the book here. Good, it's still paralyzed. So that when it does wake up, it does half damage. Now Harry's going to use his Defendo spell here, and he doesn't have enough MP to cast another one. So we're going to, and it's still paralyzed, which is good. We're going to Medic as Ron here, and give Harry some more magic with the Grand Pepper Up potion. Continue to light and slice a book. Ooh, a crit. We love to see it. And Ron is gonna use his cracker finally. Wizard cracker. And now Ron can just join in on the fray and trying to take it down, though currently does not have any magic points, so he's just gonna be flipendoing. But better than nothing. Book is almost down anyway. This actually was a really good book fight. Can't complain too much. Long paralysis. Wow, you even crit on the flipendo. And it should be down after this hit. Oh no, one more actually. There we are. So not a bad fight at all. Not a bad fight at all. Ron finally levels up there. As you can see, Harry and Hermione are 12 and Ron is 11, so under-leveled like I mentioned. Alright, that's our fourth of the 5 pages. The last one is just above here. You can see the combat is very like reminiscent of, for me it's reminiscent of kind of like Final Fantasy-ish, which is kind of what drew me to it, but a shortened, more expedited version of it, which also makes it pretty fun for speedruns. Alright, and our last book page is here. We are also going to grab the second chest, which has another useful card in it for card combo. And we're going to Spongify out of here. Head back down to Madame Pomfrey here, get that book repaired. Head back up to Lord Farquaad, so we can kick all of the other critters out of our swamp. I mean, turn in our report about werewolves. Just to shout out a few things, the Harry Potter speedrunning Discord is really cool. Handheld speedrunning especially. Very welcoming group, very friendly. Always willing to help out new runners, lots of resources, really great. Couldn't recommend them enough. So if you're interested really in any Harry Potter speedrunning at all, I would definitely look up the games page on the speedrun.com website, get in contact with the Discord. They'll get you set up right away with everything you need. Just a great community. Can't recommend enough. So definitely suggest checking them out. But there we are. Defense against the dark arts finally done. And we're gonna head back up to the common room to receive a really cool item that we'll never use. Hi, Kazoo. Hey, yeah, just doing the commentated run of this game, so if I don't answer chat a lot, I apologize. But I will catch back up with y'all after the run is done if I don't answer you right away. I appreciate y'all watching and things like that. Alright, yeah, so that broom-shaped package is indeed a broom, shockingly. The firebolt. You might be wondering, at this point, it's a Harry Potter game, right? Where's the Quidditch? Where's the broom flying? One of people's favorite parts of Harry Potter games. We don't do any Quidditching in this run, unfortunately. They make it somewhat definitely optional, and it's just slow. We don't need to go there, so we don't do it. But we still have a plot point revolving around a broom that we still have to solidify, and then we will never use the broom. Can't even use it in the open world to move around or anything like that. So, just tying up plot points, basically. In their defense, it's used more as a way for us to have an excuse to talk to Hagrid so he can give us an update about Buckbeak's status after the Malfoys threatened legal action, basically. Blah, 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 plot exposition. Then we have to head back to the library, not really to do any research, just to kind of walk next to a bookcase, which is about as close to reading as Harry and Ron get. And then furthers the plot, then we head back into our next little story component. This part of the run is definitely much slower action-wise. There isn't really a lot of fights that go on in this whole section until we get towards the end game, basically. If things go really well, we'd only have 4 more fights total, but we will probably hit encounters. Oops, wrong way. We'll probably hit encounters. I'd be shocked if we didn't, so. Yeah, there's 4 more key unavoidable fights, and then we'll probably hit, especially in one particular section as we come up, which has some very tight corridors, we'll probably be hitting some encounters, but hopefully we don't. So like I said, we got to go to the library to do some quote-unquote research, which just includes walking back to this area, getting progressively closer towards bookcases, and finishing all the dialogue so we can move on. That's it. That's all it is. Don't see those boys crack a book open. Just look, here's a title on the spine of a book in a bookcase. That must mean something. Let's move on. Literally, these two cannot survive without Hermione. Crazy. Absolutely insane. Here's another next little stair sequence, but we only have to go down 1 floor, so it's not so bad. Just the isometric nature of the stairs hurts my brain. But here we are, just progressing the story. Gonna get the firebolt checked by McGonagall here, who's gonna take it away so we don't get to use it to begin with. Then we have a weird mini game for literally no reason, which is kind of like Candy Crush, and it's revolving around wizard crackers. But again, we don't play mini games, we don't got time for it, we skip through it. So we skip through it. And then we have another mini game pretty much immediately after that. That we're also gonna skip. So, if you're here to check out the mini games, I'm sorry. All right, so we have another like private lesson here going on with Lupin, who's going to teach us about Expecto Patronum, which is the mini game. We're fighting Boggart Dementors basically, but we're gonna skip it. We all know what's going on here. There we go, skipped it. All right, and we're actually getting into the end game already, believe it or not. I know time flies. But we just have a little bit of plot exposition that we have to go through, just like things that the story beats have to cross before we can move on. And we're basically into the last chunk of our run, which is it's not quite a boss rush, but it's like boss fight to boss fight with one puzzle sequence in between. That puzzle sequence though is very annoying, so take it as you will. All right, yeah, and then this is just a long sequence of just mashing through text. So another great time for donations. Thank you if you are watching this video in the future as a submission video. Thank you for watching. I'm always willing to help out with charity marathons, both on the volunteer aspect and the running aspect. I love it. It's one of the things I love to do most. One thing I love to do with the Harry Potter games that I run is I always throw in an incentive to do a Harry Potter cosplay as a donation incentive, which usually goes off really well. People like to donate for that and see me get all dressed up as Harry with the scar and everything like that. Got the full deal, got the vest, I got the tie, the robe, I already wear glasses. You know, I'm 13, just kidding, I'm not 13, but you know, it goes off pretty well, so. Willing to do what it takes to raise the money. And then we just go right back up to our dorm. Another little sequence cutaway here. Whoa, who's that black dog running around with that cat? They're friends. I think it turns into Neopets from here on forward. You know, we just take care of the various pets in this game: the rat, the cat, the dog. We see a frog at one point at the beginning. Hippogriff. Yeah, it's just Neopets. This is just Neopets. All right, so this kind of starts our in-game rush here. First thing we're gonna do is we're actually gonna we're gonna do our only shopping visit of the run here, where we just sell off basically everything that we've gotten, and then we buy a couple potions, but then a lot of wizard cards, so that we can use a lot of card combos in the end game. They're very necessary. Oops. So we're gonna sell first, if I can get down to sell. There we go. Sell all these objects. These are all the objects that we're selling are equipment pieces, which there are equipment pieces in this game that do buffs, as you can see. But we don't need them with all the card combos and stuff that we use, and the reliance on RNG to get us through some of those tougher fights. So we don't really need to worry about it. But like most RPG systems, there are equipment that you can, you know, put on that buffs or debuffs your stats, basically. But we sell all of the pieces because we don't need them. And we just buy as many wizard cards as we can, so we can have as many card combos going into these last sections. And as I had mentioned, I'm trying to think if there are any of them. So like I said, we have 4 major fights left, and none of them are going to involve Ron. So like I said, Ron is pretty much not important, which is why we don't really focus on him that much. And you'll see where Ron goes in the meantime after this. These games are not voiced. There's not voice actors. However, you do hear voice lines in combat. And here is one voice line, the only voice line in the game that's out of combat coming up here. Just wait for it. Not the meow. Beautiful. Executed beautifully. There goes Ron. Alright, so here's the first of those 4 fights, as mentioned before, against the Whomping Willow, so we can get inside. Hermione's going to paralyze first. The thing doesn't hit us. We're going to use another card combo here. It's called Girding All. Has a dope Power Rangers type animation that comes on, where it's like armor being slapped on you. Basically increases the defense of both Hermione and myself. So that's done. And then actually we're going to use some more buffs here. This is on Harry, because Defendo does the most damage. And we're also going to use a card combo called Extra XP, which doubles the amount of XP that you receive from a fight. Obviously, as you can tell, receiving double XP from a boss fight is probably going to be pretty good for us, so we're rolling with it. And then it just becomes lighting a tree on fire and slicing it until it is dead. Now, oh, a crit is good. Fortunately, it is chunky in the HP department, so it does take a second. Double crits. Not too bad. Not too bad. No crit that time, but hey, double crits at the start. That's really good, so can't complain. It's like we got 2 turns in 1, so. Just hyper focusing on Hermione, unfortunately, here. So we're gonna, actually what we're gonna do is we are going to use a different card combo for Harry coming up called Replenish SP, which lets us heal our health there. Actually, it might have been beneficial to have her. We also have a revive card combo, so the other option was we could have let her die so that it would, and then used revive because it would also replenish her MP, but she has a decent chunk of MP left anyway, so. Not too bad. And we're making a decent way. It just will not hit Harry at all. Just focusing on Hermione. Don't know why. So since Harry has no more magic left, Hermione's going to use her next turn to heal Harry's magic. Jeez, just leave her alone, you bullying tree. Just an absolute bully. And I'm actually not gonna revive her because the tree's health is really low. So if she gets attacked again, oh well, finally went after Harry once. Gets attacked again, I was gonna say that we will just let her stay down. She'll still get the experience at the end even if she's down, so that's too bad. Will this take it down? Fingers crossed. Yes, very good. So it actually didn't matter that she missed because it wouldn't have done enough damage to take it out anyway, so not too bad. Actually a pretty good fight, all things considered. Alright, so this is the extended puzzle sequence I had referenced before, which is the Shrieking Shack here. It's a long sequence where hit by that encounter. No, can we walk around it? Yeah, we can get around it. Where we have to go and cross it so we can get into the Shrieking Shack where Ron was taken and figure out what's going on. But one encounter is not too bad. That's the worst part for in terms of encounters to hit, beyond a nice little ice sliding sequence that's going to come up later. But we have another choice here between Harry and Hermione. We only split up briefly, but Harry's is the fastest one. All we have to do is cross a bridge. And then we have to slice the right rope. It's very important that we slice the correct rope, which is the middle one. If we slice any of the other ones, it comes up with an encounter that we cannot skip. So we'd have to die or fight it, which wastes a lot of time. So luckily it's not random. We just hit the right one every time, which is the middle. Now we have a sequence here where we have to hit a bunch of switches in order to create water fountain things that we can cross to get to the door. We hit the first one there. Second one is just above. Not too bad. Hopefully we can avoid the encounters here. Yep, we did. Third one's gonna be here. All right, so if goes well, we can actually cast Lumos once and cross. Never mind. We had encounters. If it had went well, we could have cast Lumos once and crossed all 3 of these bridges in one sequence without having to recast the spell. But since we had an encounter, we no longer had Lumos cast. So, but we go in, we grab that little spigot. We place it on the pipe up here so that water starts flowing, which, as you guessed it, we're gonna freeze. So we can cross and hit our next switch. Just little puzzle stuff. Oh boy. Thought we were gonna get hit for a second. Oh boy. Counters are after us. Here we go. All right, nice. Let's get a take 2 maybe on if we can cross all these bridges with 1 Lumos cast. Let's see. Well, probably not because I clipped the edge there, but let's see. Oh, so close. We're literally like milliseconds off. All right, so we got one more switch, which is definitely the most annoying to hit. So got some ice sliding sequences here. Luckily we dodged all the encounters in that one. So there's 2 rooms of ice sliding here. That was the first one, this is the second one. We did hit an encounter in this one, so. Oops. Did the wrong movement there. There we go, that's the right movement. There's the last switch. Oops, did the wrong movement again. The tricky thing with these ice sliding segments is that you would think, kind of like in Pokemon or other games that have this this ice sliding thing going on, you can only move the cardinal directions up, down, left, right, but you can actually move diagonally too, which is what makes this a little bit tricky. Yeah. So sometimes, and when you move diagonal, you can't change your trajectory. So once you're already sliding, your trajectory can't be changed, which is what makes it a little bit tricky. But relatively unscathed. We finally hit all the switches here. Now we just freeze each of these fountains so we can walk across. And boom. Nice little story exposition. We find out that Ron's pet rat Scabbers is actually a person. Sirius Black, who was meant to be the main antagonist in the story, is actually Harry's godfather, which Harry knew that it was his godfather, but also thought that Sirius Black was a murderer. Not the case. Just all kinds of family drama, you know? Jerry Springer level stuff. But now we get the joy of having to cross all the way back through. Luckily, the puzzle stays solved though, so you don't have to like resolve it or anything. We don't have to go in like that ice sliding room or anything like that. But we do have to cross back through that dark room with all the encounters. And that could be where the that could be some time lost there, so we'll see. All right. Let's see what we get here, huh? see. Okay. So far, so good. Like to see the path. Luckily, in this section, the path is a little bit wider. Yeah, couldn't avoid that one. We do like to see, even if we do hit a random encounter, that if Harry and Hermione can go first, then that means we have a double chance of escaping, even if one fails. So, oops. All right. This is the second of the 4 end fights here. We're gonna buff up Hermione's attack spell here because she's going to have a spell upgrade, the only one that we see in the whole run, happen here soon. If things had went really well, she would have actually already had it upgraded, but we got a little bit unlucky in that regard. But we did get a crit, so that's nice. We're gonna buff up our defense as well because this is a hard-hitting forest troll here. As you can gather, if it's a forest troll, fire is what we're going to be using pretty much exclusively. There's the spell level up. So now, or you could see it says Incendio Uno there. Hermione is now going to have access to the Incendio Duo spell, which means it's an upgraded version of that spell that costs more magic but does more damage. So we're going to be using that here next. So it costs 20 MP to do it, but it does about double the damage. So that's nice. And we're just lighting this troll on fire as much as we can. And ooh, a crit there is really good. We're actually gonna use Harry to heal Hermione's magic power there. Oops. We want to use that beefy spell. We don't want to use the weakling spell. Oh yeah, I think we've had what, 3 crits on this troll already, which is really good. I'm not exactly sure of what the crit percentage is, but it's not super high, so we've gotten pretty lucky with this fight. Wow, that was a great fight. That was an excellent fight. That was a really, really good fight. Can't say how good that fight was enough. Yeah, I mean, I'm using splits, and obviously the run isn't going like well as in terms of like a PB focus, but we saved a ton of time in gold split at that split because it was so good. That fight was real good. So 2 more main fights in the run. Hopefully we only have 1 more real opportunity to hit random encounters. Hopefully we can dodge most of them. So, well, we got another little mini game skip coming up here. Some plot exposition where we learn about the time turner and going back in time using it, so we can go back and help Buckbeak and Sirius. Blah 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 blah. All right, so we use the ice spell Glacius, then we repair the bridge, and we hit an encounter here. I was trying to sneak by that one. I should have played it a little bit safer. That's okay. Yeah, that one we couldn't avoid. Took up the whole path. And I could avoid it, probably. So we're getting rather unlucky with the encounters, but at least they're encounters that we can run from, so. There we go. We could have Lumos in that, but it's a pretty straightforward path, so you just kind of memorize it to make it a little bit easier. That was the last main. Obviously there are encounters here, but they're a lot easier to dodge because we have much more open pathways. Well, it looks like one is gonna get real close to where we are, so we might spawn on top of one. Luckily we didn't actually, so Gonna dodge these. We do have Buckbeak now, who is gonna be instrumental in our next boss fight here, which is against Lupin in werewolf form. And this fight is very unique to the game in this game because it functions unlike any other fight. It's so we have Harry, Hermione, and Buckbeak versus the Lupin werewolf. The Lupin werewolf will only attack Buckbeak, and none of our spells will do damage against Lupin. So it creates for some unique instances here. So what we're gonna do is we're going to proper wand technique Buckbeak. Doesn't have a wand, but it boosts Buckbeak's attack. And then we're gonna use extra XP so we can double the XP from this fight as well. Get real buff after this. All right, and then Hermione is actually gonna Petrificus. So any of our damaging spells will only do 1 damage against Lupin, anything, right? So, but since Harry has card combos that do damage, it ignores that resistance. So we're going to use card combos that damage to Lupin and do minimal amounts of damage, and then let Buckbeak do the rest, is basically how this fight is going to go. Now there we go. Now one thing that Hermione can also do, which we haven't done in the run at all, is cast Fumos, which makes it so that it's harder to hit. So on your screen, by the way, you may see that Buckbeak goes in and out of appearing. On my screen, it's actually blinking, but it blinks at like 30 FPS or 60 FPS rather. But since I'm capturing in 30 FPS, it will either show Buckbeak as a solid or completely blank because it's going perfectly in line with the frame rate. So, like for example, yeah, it might be blank or it might be there. But basically, we're just continuously revolving around this. We'll have to probably heal Buckbeak here. And since Hermione doesn't have anything else useful to do, we're just spamming Flipendo because it's the fastest animation. But instead of damaging here, I am gonna heal. Luckily, the Replenish SP card combo does work on Buckbeak as well. So Buckbeak can get healed by it, which is good. And we're just going to continue to try to take it down with our damaging card combos. I prefer to use the Bludgers one, but it's all RNG based on how many cards we have. So I actually don't have enough cards to do Bludgers anymore. So we're using this secondary tech called Sonorous, which does the same amount of damage, but it's a slightly slower animation. Just continuously taking it out. Like I said, the werewolf will not attack Ron or Hermione, Harry or Hermione rather, so they're not ever in danger. It will only attack Buckbeak. Luckily, we got plenty of these Sonorous Charm ones. Actually gonna play it safe here. I think we could kill from here with if Harry attacked, but I'm not gonna take the risk that Buckbeak gets crit on. So I'm actually gonna heal again just to be safe, because I really don't want Buckbeak to die, because then we can't damage it. We can't damage Lupin effectively here. It should be taken out here or on the next Buckbeak attack. Next Buckbeak attack then. And there we go. There's only one more boss fight, the true final boss. The absolutely intimidating presence absolutely makes sense that they're the final boss of this game, and you'll see who I'm talking about shortly. Makes perfect sense. You're gonna be like, oh, of course. How wouldn't this be the final boss of Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban? First, we gotta just get to them briefly, which is not hard at all. Our last choice here, which Hermione is the faster choice, so do Hermione here. She just gotta freeze this up. Get across the ice. Little cutscene with Dementors here. We just got to make our way up to Free Sirius Black, but there is going to be one incredibly intimidating, imposing presence before we reach there, so. The true final boss. Draco Malfoy. Draco is the final boss of this game. Kind of strange, but that's what it is. Not an incredibly this isn't a super hard fight, especially since it's 2-on-1, and we use all these card combos and the like to get by. But it's just so odd to me that Draco is the final boss of this game. But yeah, he is. So we paralyze him, we use our card combos and stuff like that. We're gonna use a guarding here just to make sure that he doesn't damage us too much. But we've got all kinds of resources to get by this fight, so it's not really scary or anything. And this is when we're using Wingardium Leviosa, by the way. It's the spell that works best on Draco, and we buffed Hermione's attack power, so she does a cool 100-ish damage every turn. And Harry does roughly, I think, 70-ish? 70-ish, yeah. Ooh, we got crit on, though. Let's see, can Harry survive another attack? Yeah, I think he could, as long as he doesn't get crit on. If he does, we'll use a revive, so it's not a big deal. That's fine, that's fine. But Hermione's gonna use a Wingardium here, and then we're gonna use a card combo with Harry called Replenish MP next, so that we can heal Hermione's magic points. Unfortunately, Replenish MP only works on one of them at a time, so we can't replenish both of our MP with one card combo cast, but that's alright. Hermione's the one doing the real damage anyway. And you know what, just for safety... Oops, wrong one. Just to make sure we have enough health, and because Harry doesn't have a lot of MP left anyway, let's just heal each other up here. Let's see what his health is at after this. Oh, that's a good crit. We love to see that. So I was thinking about healing Harry's MP here, but because we got a crit and Draco's health is nice and low, wow, another crit. Time is coming up after the equipment. Like items received section here. And time. There we go. Yeah, the final boss, Draco Malfoy. But yeah, that's the end. We saved Sirius. Yeah, thank you for watching. Like I said, could not shout out the Harry Potter handheld speedrunning community enough. They're super receptive to new runners and helping people out. Feel free to follow me as well. I'd be glad to help you out with any questions that I have and things like that. So thank you for watching.